everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Horns Report. I'm your host, Billy Gates. Thanks so much for coming along for the ride. The NFL Draft is in 3 days. It begins April 24th at Green Bay, Wisconsin at a historic Lambeau Field. And the Texas Longhorns have a chance to break another program record with the amount of draft picks. Here to talk about that is KXAN Sports Director Roger Wallace. And Roger, I mean, this is kind of... Get our camera right here. Goodness gracious. So this is kind of, not really uncharted waters for the Longhorns. They had 11 players picked last season. Looking like they could have a dozen this year. I mean, from the 2022 draft of having nobody selected to now, that's just a huge win for this program.
Yeah, and after wins, Billy, I would say that's the number one recruiting tool because of what these kids want to do when they start playing football when they're little. And here we see Pro Day, Aaron Glenn, the Jets head coach there. But they all want to play at the next level, you would think. And so this is a huge feather in Sark's cap after not having any players picked to double figures almost for sure 2 years in a row. So it's more than just guys going to the next level. I think there's a huge trickle-down effect for the program moving forward as well.
Yeah, and he talks about that in his press conferences when people ask him about the transfer portal, about NIL, about kind of the state of college football now. Like Sark's reply is, I mean, just look at the results. You know, like we develop players and like we're going to get you to the NFL and we're going to do our very best to, you know, to do it to the best interest of the players. And I think that's what's really going to get kids to stick around.
Yeah, when he's doing those media availabilities, he's speaking to three groups. He's speaking to us. We're there. He's speaking to the fans, and he's speaking to recruits. And that's exactly right. I mean, there's no better recruiting tool than just watch on Thursday night. Probably going to hear three names called on the first round on Thursday, and then throughout the weekend, as you said, projected to be, 14 projected to be drafted?
Yeah, projected to be 12 as far as the NFL.com mock draft is concerned. And this is painstaking work, Roger. The NFL.com put together a full 7-round mock draft. I don't know if they just like to hurt themselves like that.
We eat it up, though, don't we?
but let's take you through part of it here. Here's what they have for rounds 1 and 2. Just a quick snapshot. That first name may surprise some of you. Matthew Golden in the 12th round, the 12th overall pick to Dallas. NFL.com likes that. He really made some money at the Combine and at the end of the season when he came on strong for the Longhorns. Number 14, Jahdae Barron to the Dolphins. Number 16, Kelvin Banks, who was thought was going to be the first Longhorn off the board. He still might be. This is only a guess, really. They have him going 16th to the Arizona Cardinals. And in round 2, defensive tackle Alfred Collins out of Bastrop, the 42nd pick to the Jets. Quinn Ewers, he's a polarizing figure to those in the draft industry. NFL.com has him 52nd overall to the Seahawks in Seattle. And then Jaden Blue there at running back at pick number 55 for the Chargers. I mean, Roger, just kind of what kind of jumps out at you from that sort of, educated guess.
Golden to the Cowboys jumps out at me first.
Right.
Doesn't seem like that would be a need at number 11.
Right. That's kind of what I was
for the Cowboys. So we'll see if that holds true. I guess Ewers at second round. He has been so all over the place when you look at projected quarterbacks, and one of the least talked about quarterbacks in the draft when you think of the magnitude of the name of the program, of what he's done the last 2 years. The fact that Texas has been to the playoff both times, and he's been the one leading them. So that's an interesting one to me. And Jaden Blue, a second rounder, that's pretty eye-popping for a guy that, and I guess the NFL loves his versatility and that speed, because you go to the Chargers, that's a run-first offense with Jim Harbaugh, but he's a guy that can go catch passes, he can play special teams. So those are the ones. And then I think of the two guys from the area, and the decision they made last year at this
Right,
time.
sure.
And Jahdae Barron and Alfred Collins, who could have gone last year, probably would have been drafted, but not nearly as high as it looks
Yeah.
like they're going to go this week.
I love Jahdae. When we caught up with him at the pro day, when media members were asking him, like, why do you think you should go in the first round? Do you think you're the best cornerback? And he just looked right at the camera and he's like, I'm what you need. And it was just a great quote. And then he went in and explained that he can play any position in the defensive backfield. He can play corner, he can play safety, he can play the extra nickel kind of star position is what Texas calls it. He certainly made himself a ton of money coming back, as did Alfred Collins, like you were saying.
Yeah, and you got to be selling yourself as well as anybody, and so I think the combination of his skills,
Yeah.
the personality, the maturity, he's a guy that I would think would blow away front offices when they talk to him.
Sure.
I know that's only a
Yeah.
small part of it, but you combine that with what
Yeah.
his production on the field, I think he'll be a pretty attractive pick for a team. And
Yeah.
and again, those guys you just showed, that's just early on in the draft.
Yeah, and so here is what NFL.com pontificates for the kind of second half of the draft. Nobody in round 3, but round 4, they've got a couple guys from Texas. Round 406th overall is Cam Williams. They have him going to the Patriots. They're in New England. And then Gunnar Helm, the great tight end who had a tremendous season. I kind of think that's a little late for a guy like Gunnar. They have him at 1-17 overall to the Dolphins. Round 5, just one guy, Andrew Makuba, 154th overall to the Giants. And then round 6 rounds out the Longhorn selections. Vernon Broughton to Vegas, Barron Sorrell to the Rams of Los Angeles, and Jake Majors, the final Longhorn, taken off the board at 193. That makes 12, so that would be a record for the Longhorns since they had 11 last season. I mean, that second day kind of seems like kind of what maybe we thought would happen with the Longhorns as far as this draft prospect.
Yeah, it's so hard to project.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
I think after that. Now, the one
Especially
thing
that
not
late.
on there is Isaiah Bond.
Sure, yeah.
And obviously, I'm guessing that his off-the-field issues
Right.
are a big reason for that. My guess is someone will still take a chance on him.
Sure.
But then I think of a Silas Bolden will probably get a shot as an undrafted free agent.
Right.
Because of special teams, and Hayden Connor as well. So, but yeah, I mean, Gunnar Helm's another great story. Guy that waited his turn behind JT Sanders, and looks like he's certainly going to get his chance. And he's another guy, Billy. You go up and down that list. I think they're just going to eat up the personality,
Yeah.
and the work ethic, and kind of the mindset of these guys.
Yeah, a lot of high character guys, a lot of well-spoken guys, and that seems to be the kind of archetype that Steve Sarkisian has been recruiting. I mean, obviously you want talented guys, you want good football players, but in every kind of availability he's had with us in the media, he's always gone back to, hey, we want to recruit good people, and I think this is a big part of showcasing that kind of recruitment. And like we've been saying, there's no better tool for recruiting than, hey, look at all these really good guys in the NFL.
Yeah, it's that combination. You got to have the ability, or else you're just a great guy with a great attitude. But that doesn't work in the NFL. But you combine that with the skills, and a guy like Gunnar Helm, we saw him emerge this year at the tight end position, and I think he'll be a productive tight end in the NFL. I thought he would be a breakout player this year for Texas, and that proved to be pretty accurate. I thought Jaden Blue would break out a little bit. Now, we didn't know the extent of that running back room, what was going to happen to it, so he had to, and really the breakout was Quintravian Wisner because he didn't do much of anything his first couple of years from scrimmage. He was a special teams player, but it's going to be fascinating to see how this plays out with these guys.
I'm going to put you on the spot here, Roger. Put your, I know, right? You weren't ready for this. We didn't talk about this. Put your GM hat on for a second, Roger. And of the Longhorns that are available, is there one that you would like to just sort of build some sort of position group, not necessarily a franchise, but is there like one or two guys where you would like say like that's the guy I want to build something around?
I would start with Kelvin Banks because he's a left tackle. I assume he'll be a left tackle in the NFL. He started every game. He was healthy at Texas. He's a high character guy. So I would say that. I think, Matthew Golden's the highest projected at the time, but wide receiver.
Sure.
You never know what's going to happen, how they're going to fit into the offense,
Yeah.
the relationship with the quarterback, etc. So I would probably go with the 2 and 3 picks on that board with Kelvin Banks
Yeah.
and then just Jahdae Barron for what you talked about, as well as what he brings to the table just as a person, but his versatility. Anytime you can play more than one position, obviously on a limited NFL roster, you're going to be pretty valuable. I'll put those two guys up there.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would too. I think it's interesting with this mock draft by NFL.com. I think it's interesting that they have Ewers in the second round. There's a lot of folks who are very not high on Quinn for various reasons, saying he can't process information, saying he can't throw a deep ball. But I think he certainly deserves a shot, especially in Seattle, where they're going to have Sam Darnold as their starter, probably anyway. I mean, they might be able to kind of develop him and get him on the field sometime. I mean, it's a strange situation with quarterbacks, isn't it?
The league needs quarterbacks.
Yeah.
If he can play, they'll probably figure out a way to get him on the field so they can see. But the league needs quarterbacks, and just because Sam Darnold, a great example, they might not hit the first time around with their organization and their opportunity, but eventually sometimes it works out where you think, all right, you've already labeled them a bust, and then lo and behold, you're leading the Vikings to what he did this year, and then getting a nice deal in Seattle. So I think he'll get a shot, and then from there. It's the right situation. Is so important.
Yeah, April 24th through the 26th is the NFL draft. It begins on the 24th. NFL Network, ABC, ESPN Deportes for our Spanish-speaking friends. Starts at 7 p.m. It'll be round 1, April 24th from Lambeau Field. That ought to be fun.
That should be really cool.
Yeah, that's going to be great.
I haven't looked at the weather, but I imagine it'll be pretty nice spring evening.
Late April. I mean, who knows? It could snow. April 25th, rounds 2 and 3. That coverage starts at 6 p.m. These are all Central Times, by the way. And April 26th, the last day of the draft, rounds 4 through 7. So, good times. We have a half-hour draft preview over on our CTV app. If you go to your Roku, Apple TV, Fire TV platforms, you can download KXCN Plus, and you can watch Roger, myself, Noah Gross, and Levon Whitaker do a whole half-hour special on the draft. So, I mean, why wouldn't you want to do that, right?
Well, we get to hear from a lot of these guys from Pro Day, so it's interesting.
Got all kinds of interviews from the Pro Day folks.
Get their perspective.
All right, so we're going to take a break now. And when we come back, we're going to talk about Kimball Schuessler's huge weekend at the plate for the Longhorn baseball team, and then a big announcement from the volleyball team. And we're back here on the Horns Report. Billy Gates and Roger Wallace with you. And now we're going to talk about UT baseball here. They had a tremendous series sweeping number 8 Auburn. 3-game stretch here at Dish Falk Field in Austin. And they remain number 1 in the D1 baseball poll this week. Kimball Schuessler, Roger. I mean, what a guy. Straight out of Llano. He's played kind of everywhere for the Longhorns since he's got here a couple years ago. And, boy, he had some sort of game on Saturday.
It's just amazing what this guy has done. His career has been curtailed because of injuries. He was, as Jim Schlossnagle said, he was a really good catcher, but just so many injuries. This is the walk-off, the 7th inning walk-off on Saturday in the series finale when they ruled Auburn, but he also hit the big home run on Thursday night to break up a tie. He's a guy that plugged him in this year at first base. He's been an outstanding defensive first baseman, clearly an outstanding leader, and he kind of embodies this team about, either you got guys that are going down and guys step up, or a guy like him that suffered a lot of injuries, so he's kind of figured out how to be a baseball player in other ways, and what a feeling that must have been for him to walk off a weekend sweep of the number 8 team in the country. This team continues to amaze me, Billy, because they just keep finding ways, and they keep losing guys either long-term or short-term, and they're sitting there with 2 SEC losses here now. We're into the second half when you think about the fact that 15 SEC wins is considered pretty good in that conference.
Absolutely.
And they've already passed that.
Yeah.
They've got, several more series to go.
And whenever you get your jersey ripped off and you get a water bottle shower on the field, you know you've had a good day.
That's 2 closing jersey rip-offs of a couple of catchers. Yes, Galvan, who ended a series that way, and then of course the other story this week is Jonah Williams getting a chance, 5-star safety recruit for Sark, who's also an outstanding baseball player and hadn't done virtually anything. And all of a sudden, he has a big weekend, and now he looks like he's plugged in as their starting left fielder.
Yep, he goes 2 for 3 in his debut, and then 3 for 3 on Saturday. Just a great weekend for him. And then here's, I believe this is a Casey Borba, just absolute moonshot over the bullpen. Yeah, that ball is just clobber. That's onto the little road behind the bullpen. That's almost the tennis center, Roger.
Yeah, the Longhorns are. They're so good right now that they can get swept this weekend, heaven forbid for them, against the Aggies, and they're still sitting in a tie at worst for first place in the SEC.
Yeah.
A 3-game lead in the conference just seems pretty amazing for this team that had so many question marks coming into the season.
Absolutely. Like you and I both talked about it, what Coach Jim Schlossnagle and pitching coach Max Wiener have been doing with this team is nothing short of brilliant, insane, unimaginable. Like, just pick your adjective.
And it's late April. We get it. We understand what can happen. I mean, the team that's coming in this weekend's a great example. They were left for dead, and now the Aggies are one of the hottest teams in the country. First, though, they got to go down to San Marcos Tuesday night. Take care of a team that beat them back about 3 weeks ago.
On April Fool's Day.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
5-3 at the Dish. Texas State takes out Texas, and they've got them down at Bobcat Stadium on Tuesday at 6. But
half of their losses, Billy, are the 2 midweek games. Two midweek games at home.
Yeah.
That's just incomprehensible.
And then the first game of the season at Globe Life to Louisville in extra innings is another one. Yeah.
That's right. So 3 of the 5 or in non-con. And Louisville's turned out to be a pretty good team.
Yeah, they have been. Yeah.
But anyway, they got to figure out. They're hoping Jared Spencer gets a good report.
I think that's like the biggest thing for them.
No doubt. He had to come out of the game on Thursday. Doesn't look like he's going to pitch this weekend. So again, they're going to have to mess with the rotation. Fortunately, they're coming off that Thursday through Saturday series, so they get a little extra rest. But you would think that they would move Riojas up in the rotation with Harrison, and then we'll see about that third guy. Will it be Cade Bing? We'll certainly know that tomorrow. If he doesn't start against Texas State, it's a pretty good indicator that he'll get that third start this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm just some guy, but I would be tempted to throw Grubbs on the mound to start the game.
I think though they,
but I know they love him out of the bullpen, and that's a mindset thing. Like I totally get that.
Because if you can get that first one, and that's if Friday night he needs him, and what he might do, Billy, is have a plan to pitch him on Sunday unless they need him.
Sure.
And then, you go to plan B. But his philosophy has always been worry about this one.
Right.
And then we'll worry about the next one when that game comes around.
You got to get one before you can get the other one.
Yep.
So, huge series for the Longhorns. The number 1 team in the country playing the preseason number 1 team in the country, the Texas A&M Aggies. They've had, for their standards, just an awful first part of their season. But like we said, they're starting to figure it out, and they're starting to get hot with series wins over Georgia and Arkansas.
Tennessee.
Tennessee.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're starting to look the part. They haven't had Gavin Grahovac all season. He had a season-ending injury. I hate injuries. I want to see the best players play all the time. So that kind of takes a little bit out of this series. But, in the end, it's a Lone Star showdown. It's Texas A&M. It's Texas, and it should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and they've been mashing the ball lately. Yeah. So it's going to be an interesting weekend at the Dish. And, again, sitting there with a 3-game lead. Who would have thought as we get into Series 7 of the 10 in the SEC.
Mm-hmm. Oh, gosh. So let's see. The 33-5 overall, absurd. 16-2, absurd. Just nuts. That's their SEC record. And then along with the A&M and Texas series, there's also the football fan day at DKR on the 26th there in the middle of this thing. There'll be all kinds of things to do over on the 40 acres this weekend.
Yeah, and I don't think Jonah Williams will be over there and double dip. Who knows? Maybe he'll go sign some autographs.
Yeah, who knows?
But yeah,
they're going to need him in left field.
Hopefully, it's a good day for the weather, and fans can do their thing with the football team. Autographs, I think, are a little after noon.
Yeah,
and some activities on the field, and then I'm sure it's going to be SRO at 3 o'clock for the baseball game against A&M.
Yep. Moving to softball here real quick. They had a couple walk-off wins over LSU to win a series. Most notably, the walk-off grand slam by none other than Reese Atwood in Game 1 to beat LSU 7-3. I found that incredibly hard to believe that was the program's first ever walk-off grand slam. Just kind of seems like a program like Texas should have had one of those by now.
Well, yeah. I mean, we were together watching that on Thursday afternoon, and that was a rocket. If you haven't seen that, I'm sure you can find it. But her ball was hit so hard, that it was amazing. It was a comeback, and then they had a runoff. Walk-offs in the series finale on a bizarre play.
That play to end Saturday's game.
Yeah,
with a little dribbler by Mia Scott to the pitcher. Mia Scott hustles down the line, beats out an infield single, and then Caden Henry, who's probably the fastest girl outside of the track team here at Texas, speeds around from second base, puts pressure on LSU's defense, scores on literally a dribbler to the pitcher, and they walk off LSU that way to win the series. Just bedlam over at McCombs Field this past weekend.
Yep, and now they have their version.
Now the rubber hits the road.
Yeah, they go to Norman this weekend, so that should be quite a series up there as well.
Yeah.
What a weekend for baseball and softball.
Yeah.
Aggies here for the baseball and at OU for softball.
Yeah, softball, they've got Oklahoma State on Wednesday, too, in Stillwater. Then they'd make the short drive over to Norman to take on the Sooners for a 3-game set. And that should be, all those games are on ESPN, by the way, which that's pretty cool to see softball this part of the season be on the national networks like that. And speaking of women's sports and being cool, the Texas volleyball team, Coach Jared Elliott said something was in the works last season, something big, and we found out today that big thing is that they're going to play for the first time ever in Moody Center against the Stanford Cardinal next season, September 7th. They haven't set a time yet. I assume that's because of TV. Like, they're going to really blow this thing out, I would guess. But what an opportunity for the volleyball team to play in the big arena. It's not that Gregory Gym is bad. Gregory Gym is awesome, but you can only fit about 4,500 people there. 5,000 if you're an NCAA tournament game. But man, what an opportunity for them to be able to play in such a big arena.
Yeah, that'll be a cool event, and it's the day after their home opener for the football team. Obviously, they open on the road the previous weekend,
right.
But and I'm sure Longhorn fans will turn out for that. And you wonder, if there's more going through their heads looking. But Greg Gym, I would think, is such a home court advantage that when it comes to NCAA time. Plus, they're so limited on dates at Moody that that's a discussion for another day. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it will be a cool Sunday. We presume a Sunday afternoon when they take on Stanford.
Yeah, and I know Elliott, when he was talking about the idea of playing at Moody Center, he wanted to get a game like this against a national powerhouse like Stanford. He also mentioned Wisconsin, but they're going to play in Wisconsin the weekend before they come back here and play. But he also mentioned maybe having an SEC match against A&M in Moody, and I think that would be a pretty good candidate if they wanted to do some kind of conference game in Moody. So we'll see how that goes. But again, the volleyball team gets to play in Moody Center. Awesome. That's going to be fun. Alrighty. So for this episode of the Horns Report, we're done here. Thank you so much for watching. And for Roger Wallace, I'm Billy Gates, and we'll talk to you again soon.